Hello, Serge here from the Backyard Driving Range. Question came into customer service from Doug Pinner. And Doug says, first of all, I am very happy with the Serge lessons. I had back surgery a year ago and switched to the Serge swing. My accuracy now is phenomenal, but I need to add some distance to my driver. I am hitting 70 to 80% of my fairways, which is, will put you up there as one of the leaders on the PGA Tour in fairways and reg. He says, the accuracy has helped my score tremendously, but I realized more drive yardage would really help. I saw somewhere that adding weight to my driver may help. In talking to the pro shop where they said they could add up to 12 grams, but would not know what to really recommend. I am 72, having just started playing at 65 and shooting the low 90s to high 80s. I am only getting about 160 yards on my drives and have a low swing speed of 70 to 80 miles per hour. Any tips on the weight I should try or just go with trial and error? Okay, technically it actually sometimes, if you're doing it yourself, it comes down to trial and error. Okay? What I'm reaching for here is if you've been on the site long enough, you know that I love tape. Okay? Lead tape. This is a small roll. I get it. Doc gets it for me in big rolls because I sometimes do this during lessons. If I swing somebody's club and I feel like the head is too light for what I feel in the shaft and everything else, I'll stop putting tape on it and try to get the head right, whether it be a driver, a 3-wood, or whatever. And this is just, so I got the big roll. It's about this big, and it's only got a small circle in the middle, so it's about that much of tape. But I kind of go through it pretty good because I'm always fooling with lead tape on my clubs. I'm going to show you something right here. I'm going to walk in to the camera here, and I'm going to put this thing up right in front of the camera so you can see this, how much lead tape I have on this club. Now this set of clubs has plenty of lead tape on them. This set was not made by Doc, okay? Doc didn't make this set. This is about, I have really just one set of irons that Doc made for me, and those are my Muras, and they have no lead tape because Doc does what we call MOI. And MOI is how he gets it's I guess partially involved with frequency matching, where they get the shafts to match in the right frequencies, and with the heads the right weight, you can do that. But not every head's the right weight. Even if they investment casted heads where they got the perfect molds, supposedly, and then forged blades definitely are different because they end up grinding on them after they make them. And I play with forged blades, and this is a top line forged blade, and but it was nowhere near right. So Doc never made this set. I just had this from a previous company I was with one time, and so I had to make it right. And all of these irons, almost every one of these irons, has lead tape on them. And so, as was asked in the question, is this trial and error or not? Doug asked that question, and yeah, this is basically trial and error. I just keep putting tape on it, and I move it around, and I get it to where I want it to be just right. And so sometimes just moving a piece of tape a quarter of an inch forward or backwards, towards the toe, or from the toe back a little towards the heel, or move it up a little bit on the face, or you keep going till you'll find that probably the first piece of tape you're going to put on it will start. You'll say, oh wow, I can feel the head kick a little bit better, and so then you keep going and going, and at some point you'll be getting better and better, and then all of a sudden it'll start to get worse again. So you have too much tape on it, and then you can just move it around a little bit. So all my irons have lead tape on them. On this set, every single one of them, and they all have different amounts of it because it's obvious that the heads have different weights. Because one of the good things that every certified fitter in the PGS does, and any other good fitter, they weigh every head before they put it on the shaft, so they automatically know that based on the weight of the shaft they're using, the weight of the grip they're going to have on it, the length that they're building it. They have a good idea of what they're within really good guessing distance what the weight of the head should be. And then mostly when they need to change that, and one of the things that Doc does, you'll find if you go for fitting with him, he will wrap lead tape around the hosel and to find out where your perfect MOI is. And what's he looking for? He'll just start at one. He'll just put a little tape on it and figure out. And if he sees, and at the point when the customer says, wow, I like that. That's a good hit, and we got a good trajectory, flight pattern, and everything else. Then he knows what that lead tape is. He leaves it on it to go away to club, and now knows that for this length of club and everything else, that's what the MOI he should have, and the weight the club has to be to get the right MOI and basically the right frequency. And so that's critical. Again, as I said, Doc's built me one set of clubs that he's actually built in terms of putting the shaft in it, regrip and everything else, and there's no lead tape on those irons. Now, I have a lot of clubs. I have my 3-wood, which is just, I call my gold standard. I mean, I'll bet you in the 8 or 9 years I've had this club, or whatever it is, it's probably at least 7 minimum. I got this out of DJ's trunk when he first turned pro. So he's been pro now 9 years, so this is probably at least 8 years old. And because it was built for his length, which was about basically 2 inches, an inch and a half longer than me, because I swing 43-inch driver and DJ swings 44 and a half. Depends on what mood he's in. And so this was, I had to cut like 2 inches off this, so this has got tons of tape on it. I got strips across up near the toe. I got some near the heel, which are on both sides of the sweet spot, and I got a whole bunch along the back, and I got some up the thing. This tape, since I got it right, has not changed since right after I got the club. So this tape has been on here now, or as I like to call lead tape, magic dust, because if you get it on there correctly, you can do some magic things to help your club to really hit your woods better, or any club better. All right, so the point is, let's get going and ask a couple other questions, or cover a few more things about what Doug asked. All right, the first thing we have to remember about adding weight to a golf club is distance comes from club head speed, mass of the club head times velocity squared. So if you start putting tape on and more weight on a club head, you're adding more mass. That's great, but at some point, too much mass is no good either. We can never forget the law of diminishing returns. Too much is no good, too little is no good. Just right is just right, all right? And you find that through trial and error. But the key that you have to start worrying about, Doug, and anybody, and especially seniors, and even with ladies and younger players, is that if you start getting the head too heavy and start losing club head speed because you do not have the strength to accelerate it anymore, or at least faster. If you add more tape, you've got to be swinging it faster than you were presently swinging it. All right. The only way tape works is if you're trying to swing it fast and there's not enough mass there to give it enough, say, so to speak, kick and get to load the shaft and kick the shaft. And you can still maintain or increase the club head speed with that. That's great. But if you cannot increase club head speed when you add more weight to it, you've just doomed yourself. You're going to go the other way. You're going to start hitting it shorter and very likely more crooked, because you won't be able to square the club up if you can't increase the club head speed. And so the thing we have to look at here, Doug, and everybody, is that as we age and get older, we are losing muscle mass. Science tells us that the male tends to lose about 6 to 8 pounds of muscle every decade once you reach about 40 years old. So we have to keep working out to keep our muscle strength up and keep our weight down, because again, a lot of times people say, hey, I've kept my weight the same, but if you're not increasing your muscle strength, you're exchanging muscle for fat, and so you might be that's a bad swap off to have more fat in place of muscle. So we have to keep working out our strength to keep our muscle up, which will help us swing the club as fast or maybe faster if we get things right. So the next thing that's important is to do some working out and keep yourself more supple and flexible, and do some cardio and other things that keep your whole conditioning up a lot better, because again, we slow down. Not only do we lose strength, but we start to slow down. Our muscles don't respond as fast. And so if your muscles can't fire and swing and move as fast as they used to, and just think about anything you ever did, even last year or the year before, and certainly 5 or 10 years ago, if you rode a bike a lot, how can you still ride it the same distance in the same time? I don't think so. If you tend to jog or speed walk or just walk a lot, you're probably walking the same distance or jogging the same distance, but it's not the same speed. Think about some building you used to go into and used to zip up the stairs. I bet you now, compared to 5 years ago and certainly 10 or 15 years ago, you're not zipping them up like you used to. You might be going as fast as you could go, but it just isn't as fast as it used to be. And that's what we've got to start realizing, folks. Aging implies that our bodies are changing, and unfortunately they're changing and they're going slower. And that means it's harder to keep your club head speed. Mass times velocity squared. All right? So you have to be careful. Lead tape, magic dust as I prefer to call it, is not a total panacea, because if you increase the weight, you have to be able to increase the speed along with it. Because If you can't increase the speed you were on with no weight that you had on the club, and now you put some magic dust on it and you can't increase the speed, you will not increase distance. Or if you do, it's going to be so negligible, and very likely, if you can't really increase it at all, you very likely start tiring out sooner, and then it's actually going to become a detrimental for you having done that. So you need to do this in conjunction with a good fitter, and go see a good fitter to get yourself helped out in doing this. But yes, it can work, but it all has to be correct. And in some cases, where you put the tape on the club can make a whole bit of difference. So as Doug asked, there is some trial and error there. All right. It's not so much trial and error if you go to a fitter and you have him put it in the club properly, and then you don't even have lead tape on it, but you got the magic powder inside the club, down the hosel in there, and it's in the hosel, which is right on the axis of rotation. So that gives you a really good place to have it to help square the club up. So this is a science in its own, but remember, we're getting older. What we need in most cases is lighter, but the head weight has to be the right weight for the shaft weight and the length of the shaft that's swinging. And realistically, the only place to really get that done absolutely correctly and to the best of what you need is to go see a Swing Surgeon certified club fitter. All right? Doc Griffin and all the rest of the guys on our staff can really help you out. You can go to swingsurgeon.com, look under instruction and fitting, and you can click on club fitters, and you can bring them up they're listed according to their region. Click on a region, they'll list who's there. And many of them can do stuff. Doc has a program where you can get a form off his site, do some measurements for him, which would include club head speed if you can get that done. In most cases, you can go to one of these stores and swing some clubs and just have them tell you what the speeds are, remember what they are, and put those down. And with that, he can do a long range club fitting and club building. And he told me he can get that with good numbers. He can get it within 95% of what you did he could get if you came to him in person. And I think that's a pretty darn good number. And so you might want to think about that. Okay? Well, talking about lead tape magic dust and how it can help us, but it can also hurt us if it's not done right. This is The Surge for today, and I'll be talking to y'all again soon.